Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I was right again. And why? Because once you know the dynamics, you understand the next moves of the entity. Or at least you can assess it to a very high percentage, about 95%, I would say. So what's going on here? What do you do when your country is, or your officials, the guys that are in charge and make sure that you have to follow the laws, don't follow the laws, or they follow the laws and the contracts selectively? Well, you should do the same thing. No? No, because you're going to get punished. They will not. What am I talking about? We have here three countries. We have Poland, the United States of America, and Israel. We're going to show you, or I'm going to show you, not we, what is the real dynamic among these three countries. Who's in charge and who are the servants. If you remember, and if you don't remember, I will let you know that the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, was issued an arrest warrant for his alleged by the ICC, International Criminal Court of The Hague, from The Hague. The same court that issued Putin an arrest warrant. Remember? So the countries who are signatory, or which are signatories of this ICC court, if this wanted guy like Putin would land in one of the signatory countries, they have the obligation under the treaty signed as a country, a contract, to arrest that individual. That is, if Putin lands in Poland, he should be arrested by the Polish authorities. If Netanyahu lands in Poland, should be arrested by the Polish authorities and taking him to Hague to be, interviewed and investigated and so on. Why? Because Poland is a signatory of the ICC court, blah, blah, blah. All right, a few weeks ago, after Mr. Netanyahu was issued the arrest warrant with his former defense minister, Mr. Gallant, Poland said, or a minister, foreign minister, I made a video on that, said, we're going to arrest Netanyahu if he shows up at Auschwitz for the celebrations, commemoration, how do you want to call it. And I made a video and I claimed, let me show you, right here, on December 23rd, 2024, Poland to arrest Netanyahu at Auschwitz. Poland threatens to arrest Netanyahu at Auschwitz. And in this video, I said, no, Poland will never arrest Netanyahu. Netanyahu said at that time that I might not show up over there. And I said he will show up over there to show everyone who's in charge of Poland. And today's article that I looked at says this. Poland to let Netanyahu visit Auschwitz. Today is what? The 10th of January. The other one was what? The 23rd of December. I was right because I know who's in charge and how Poland sucks their beep. Warsaw would allow the trip, although it is bound by treaty to arrest the Israeli Prime Minister if he sets foot on Polish soil. The Polish government will allow Benjamin Netanyahu to attend a commemoration ceremony at the former Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp later this month, despite being bound by an International Criminal Court ICC warrant to arrest the Israeli Prime Minister. Do you remember when Putin was issued the arrest warrant and he had to go and attend BRICS in South Africa? He didn't. And everybody was, let's see if Mr. Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, will arrest Putin. Because South Africa is, bound by the International Criminal Court Treaty. Putin did not show up over there. Why? Guess why? He's not in charge of South Africa, right? Then what happened? Then it was Brazil. Again, BRICS, or it was G20 or something. Putin did not show up over there. Again, Lavrov showed up. Why? Because Brazil is a signatory. And Mr. Lula da Silva said, well, he can come, but he didn't show up over there, Putin. Again, Putin was supposed to show up in somewhere in Indonesia, was it? I can't remember exactly, Malaysia, Indonesia, that area. He didn't show up. Right after that. Why? He's not in charge of those areas. He's in charge of the Russian Federation. So Poland, as I knew, would not arrest him. But hey, that's not all. Do you remember? This is what the United States of America gets into this dynamic. Do you remember what Lindsey Graham said when Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli, another country, not Benjamin Netanyahu, to break the news for you, is not a US citizen. He's an Israel citizen, okay? So Benjamin Netanyahu, as far as I know, he's the prime minister of another state. So our Senator Lindsey Graham said that we, United States of America, should, how do you call it, impose sanctions and everybody who will dare to not allow Benjamin Netanyahu just be a free man. Why? United States is not a signatory of the ICC court. Neither is Russia. Nevertheless, but that's a third party, Israel, who was issued this guy an arrest warrant. So Lindsey Graham said, anyone we should impose, the United States of America should impose sanctions on the ICC in Hague for another country's leader who was issued a warrant by the court. So they were all okay with Putin being arrested. And now the US Senate jumped and said, we're going to pass a bill which we are going to sanction the ICC court that we were okay when they were arresting Putin, but we as a country, we're not okay if they issued a warrant against someone from another country. He's an ally. So who's in charge? Let me show you the article. Right here. Russia Today from the 10th of January. US Congress backs sanctions on ICC. The Hague-based court issued an arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu last year. So for this guy, the US Congress jumps straight and does something. The US House of Representatives have passed a bill to sanction the International Criminal Court, ICC, in retaliation for the judicial body's arrest warrants for Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former defense minister Yoav Gallant. So United States is going to sanction International Criminal Court for foreign individuals. And this is going to go to Senate. The legislation was passed 243 to 140 on Thursday. Got it? So let me show you something else. You see at the bottom, right there? This was made, I've done that in November 22nd, 2024. ICC issues arrest warrant for Netanyahu. And it says that Israel preparing babu boo 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 boo. And we have, if I remember correctly on the bottom here, somewhere, right here, US Senator Lindsey Graham calls for US to sanction ICC, has called for Washington to slap sanctions on the International Criminal Court for issuing arrest warrant for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former defense minister. So that guy jumped quickly as the polls. So Netanyahu was like, I want to see you do that. I'm just going to show up and see if you dare to do that. And you know what? That's an example for everybody else to see. Remember when Mongolia, a signatory of the ICC court, did not arrest Putin when he landed there? What the West said about it? Wow! Mongolia, it was bad, bad, bad. Now Poland, I guarantee you, is going to be like hailed for its good heart towards this, perpetual victims and all that. And it's a noble act Poland did to allow this guy with an arrest warrant issued by the ICC. So when your government, my government, not interprets because it's not interpreting, it follows the law, the contracts, the treaties selectively, what should you do? Remember, nothing will happen to Poland for that. Nothing. I guarantee you that. Nothing will happen to Poland. And the United States of America is sanctioning whomever they want for someone else. So who's in charge here? Who's in charge here? Now I have to tell you that in that little bill the House of Representatives passed, they say something about the US citizens as well. But it was not meant for them. But I think let me show you what these guys say. All right. In a In a statement ahead of the vote, Representative Brian Must, who leads the House Foreign Affairs Committee, called the Hague-based judiciary a kangaroo court until Netanyahu is issued. The bill will now move to Senate, where Republicans have a majority. The Democrats blocked a similar bill when they controlled the Senate in June. Again, the Jewish state has dismissed the accusations as unjustified. Okay, it was based on charges of committing war crimes in Paparap Pupurup. So these guys will just, the Illegitimate Court Counteraction Act, this is how it's called, would impose sanctions on ICC officials and entities supporting the court's investigations, arrests, and detentions of American citizens of allied countries. The legislation was passed, so Americans and citizens of allied countries. So they always pay attention to this. When these guys want a little law passed for them, they introduce something else. Like, we're not alone, it's too obvious. And the baboons will, even in their imbecility, will note what's been sold to them. So they always come with something. Like fight on guns, and boop, you got these guys. Oh, the temples should be protected by the baba. Okay, when always come with something else, they enter like, you open the door and something comes with you, you know? I know when it's those, how do you call it? You go and you pay to enter a garage. All right, let's say it opens the door, or you exit it, and when you go, another car comes behind you quickly. Or maybe in France, it happened to me. When you pay to go with your on the subway, you know, the tube, the metro, and those things that's clink, 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 clink. You use your card, it clink, clink. Another guy fucks you in the ass with you together, so you go together. So the same here. They're always like that. When something, and they push it. Remember 1965, the new immigration bill? It was one of those guys pushing it for something. They got wormed themselves in. The same here. It's the American citizens and allied countries. Actually, it's the other way around, and this is specific, I think, for one entity, or two, which is Benjamin Netanyahu and Gallant. That's what I think. Am I wrong? What do you think? Now, these guys jumped for another country. So when they tell you again that ICC should arrest this, or United Nations this, or the rules-based world order that the Americans are talking about, you know, take it, wipe your ass with it, and give it to them back to eat it. Exactly. So that's what I would do, at least. So leave it. And the Poles, we know who the Poles are. The Poles are the Trojan horse of the Americans in Europe. And the Poles have balls as long as the Americans allow them. That's all. If the Americans tomorrow tell the Poles to invade, to move their forces into Germany, they will do it, singing Kazachok, or fucking whatever Russian song. Kazachok, all right. Anyway. That's what they will do. And besides, on top of all this is whom? I was right. Why? I know how things are run. I know who's in charge. I know. I had no doubt I could have, bet my life and everything I had that Poland would allow this guy to show up over there. And if they wouldn't, let's say they would try, the media, the free media in the West would have attacked Poland as this, as that, as this, as that, and eventually Poland would have just sucked a la from those little guys. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.